Are you planning to take a trip to Baguio one of these days but don't know where to start? How to book your hotel or how to get there? Then this video is for you because here we're going to tackle the costs of staying in Baguio and also some tips on how I booked and prepared my family's trip to the summer capital of the Philippines. What's up, Savvy Expats? This is Isabella once again giving you a local's perspective about the Philippines. So without waiting any further, let's dive in. First and foremost, to get to Baguio, my family and I needed a vehicle for the 5-hour road trip. We rented a van that included a driver because we wanted our trip to be hassle-free and comfortable. Since we were going to be staying in Baguio for 4 days and 3 nights, we rented the van for 4 days, which costed us a total of 60,000 pesos or $302 US. Meaning the rent was 4,000 pesos or $75 US per day, which didn't include the extra costs for the fuel. To make sure that our driver was also comfortable in his stay, we also rented a dormitory type accommodation, which was around 1,300 or $25 US per day. The van was spacious and comfortable for 7 people, including our driver, and I recommend renting one if you have a big family planning to go to Baguio. Up next is our stay at the Manor in Camp John Hay. The Manor is one of the most popular hotels in the city, which offers a picturesque view of Baguio. For me, this place is special because we used to go here every year before the pandemic, and the whole ambiance of the place makes you feel removed from the fast-paced life of urban cities. For short, this place is the ultimate escape from the hustle and bustle of the city life, where you can just relax and forget about your work during your stay here. Since there's 6 of us, we booked 2 separate rooms for 4 days. The first room was called the Deluxe Garden View, which had a balcony overlooking the Manor's garden. The second room was called Superior Room with Garden View, which had a similar setup to the first, except this room didn't have a balcony. The Deluxe Garden View costs around 10,800 pesos or $204 US per night, while the Superior Room costs around 9,500 pesos or $179 US per night. All in all, this costs us around 60,900 pesos or $1,148 US. It's a bit pricey compared to other hotels in Baguio, but the Manor has always been the place where we feel at home and where everything just feels right. So the Manor is located in Camp John Hay, which is a place in Baguio that gives you a kind of western feel of the city, and for a good reason. Camp John Hay is a former military facility in the United States and was named after former President Theodore Roosevelt's Secretary of State. This was once the place where American soldiers went for healing as well as for reinvigoration. If you think that the Manor isn't quite right for you and your family but still want to be in Camp John Hay, then there are other hotels that you can stay in, such as the Forest Lodge, St. Patrick Village, and Le Monet. There are other hotels that offer amazing views and service that are outside of Camp John Hay, so if you want to get to know more about them, then stay tuned until the end of this video. There are many places to dine in once you get to Baguio. In fact, the city is already becoming famous not just for its cold weather, but also for the many good restaurants that it has to offer. The Forest House is one of them, offering a 5-course meal for the price of around 1,300 pesos or $25 US per person. But that depends on what you order, of course. If you watched the first part of my Baguio travel vlog, then you've probably seen my video about the Forest House and the delicious food that they served. Aside from the food, they also have a great ambiance that's perfect for intimate gatherings, events, or even romantic dates. But do take note that in order to dine in the restaurant, you have to book a reservation and also place your orders beforehand. This is because they only open during the time slot that you chose. If 5-course meals aren't your thing and you don't want to leave the comfort of your hotel, then there are buffets that you can try in your own hotel. One of them is the Manor's Buffet. The Manor's Breakfast Buffet offers a delectable choice of breakfast food that surely fits the palate of almost everyone. They offer Filipino and Western food, so you get the best of both worlds. The breakfast buffet costs around 900 pesos or $17 US per person. If once again buffets aren't your thing, or if you want meals that you can personally choose, then there are many other options in the city. For one, Baguio is already an urbanized city, so getting takeouts or eating in well-known restaurants won't be a problem. Fast food restaurants are also found easily, and if you don't want to drive to get there, you can order via Grab delivery. But in my opinion, one of the things you should do in Baguio, especially if it's your first time, is to try out restaurants that aren't found outside the city. One of the few restaurants in mind are, of course, the Forest House, Canto Bogchi Joint, Hill Station, and Chocolate de Batirol. If it's your first time in Baguio, then buying souvenirs might probably be in your to-do list while in the city. Mines View Park is a famous tourist attraction since it offers numerous selection of handcrafted souvenirs that you just know are from Baguio. For me and my family, we usually allot at least 1,500 pesos or $28 per person for buying souvenirs or so-called pasalubong. Among the many souvenirs you can buy are handcrafted bracelets, crocheted hats and purses, wooden keychains, and purses made from real frogs. You'd know they're literally made from frogs because they're literally frog purses. Near Mines View Park is the Good Shepherd, which is famous for its delicacies. Our trip wouldn't be complete if we don't buy delicacies there. Among their most popular products are their ube jam, lengua de gato, alfajor, peanut brittle, and of course, strawberry jam. I remember they also sell civet coffee, a good tasting coffee that gives you the necessary, but not literally, kick that you need. For those who don't know, civet coffee is made with digested coffee cherries. Why digested, you ask? Well, let's just say that for this coffee to form, a civet has to eat the cherries, digest them, and poop them out for the coffee to ferment. Gross for others, interesting, and a must-try for the daring. I'll leave it up to you if you think I've tried it or not. And now we're moving on to the next half of this video, the tips and reviews about staying in Baguio. But before that, if you find this video interesting and helpful, you can give it a thumbs up. The Savvy Expat is dedicated to bringing you quality information about the Philippines, so if you want to know more, hit that subscribe button to get the latest updates. And now for the tips and tricks. One of the overwhelming tasks of planning your vacation is finding the right place to stay in. Of course, we don't want to stress ourselves out realizing that the hotel we're staying in has a crappy room, a crappy service, and an even crappier location. Because for most of us, where we'll be staying in defines the rest of our vacation. And that's why I'm including some useful tips you guys can follow. So let's go with tip number 1. When booking your hotel, it's a must to check every booking site that you'll come across. There are many trustworthy websites where you can book your stay, but these trustworthy websites don't guarantee that you'll get the cheapest price for the rooms. Websites like Agoda, Booking, TripAdvisor, and Trivago are among the trustworthy sites that you can book your stay in. Or you can also book your stay with the hotel itself since most hotels have their own websites. A lot of hotels are fully booked during the peak season, so I strongly recommend booking your rooms in advance. Usually 1 month isn't enough, so maybe 2 or 3 months in advance would be good. But if you're planning to stay on Christmas and New Year, then you'd have to book way earlier. I remember we had to book a room in the Manor in August to be able to celebrate our Christmas there. My tip number 2 is for you guys to get a reservation of the restaurants you'll be dining in advance. Baguio, especially during the peak seasons, is crowded and gets heavy traffic on the weekends. Lunchtime is when most of the restaurants are fully booked, and my family and I had the mistake of not booking in advance, so we settled to eat somewhere else. And when I say fully booked, what I mean is that you have to stand in a long line and wait for an hour to have a table. So if you do want to book a table, most of the restaurants are on Facebook or Instagram, and you can easily message them there. Tip number 3 is to plan your vacation in Baguio during the weekdays as much as possible. We usually go to Baguio on the weekdays to avoid the crowd going up the mountains, and also because there's less traffic when going around. We also find that tourist destinations like Mines View Park and Burnham Park, among others, are less populated compared to going there on the weekends. I feel like this is an overlooked tip since we don't usually anticipate the traffic when going on vacations. But since I experienced just how much traffic can take so much of your time in vacations, this is something that you guys might find helpful in your tips. Tip number 4 is to know the best parking spaces or to just book a cab or a car to get to your destinations. This tip relates with the fact that Baguio can be really busy, especially during the summer and weekends. In my experience, parking spaces are so hard to come by in Baguio, and every time we go there, we always have a hard time finding a parking space to the point that we waste 30 minutes to an hour of our time. That's too much to waste for a parking space, right? Our last trip was much more comfortable because we rented a van, so our driver took care of everything. The only thing that we had to do was to show up early and tell him where we wanted to go. And now for our last segment of our video, we have the reviews and recommendations. So these reviews and recommendations are from my own experiences about staying in Baguio, which I think will come in handy when you guys plan your stay here. First up is the Manor in Camp John Hay. As what I've said a while ago, the Manor has a cozy ambiance that's perfect for people wanting to relax. However, you should know that the hotel doesn't have an air conditioning system and only offers a ceiling fan in the rooms. While this isn't much of an issue for me since I get cold easily, it can be annoying for others who are used to colder climates. During the summer season, it can be really annoying because the fan might not be enough to cool off even if Baguio is known for its cooler climate. Another thing about the Manor is that it doesn't have a pool. This isn't also a problem for me because I don't swim in hotels that much, but for others who are bringing along kids who look forward to swimming, then I'm guessing that this might be a deciding factor for you guys. An alternative hotel that you can book inside Camp John Hay would be Le Monet, which is a 10-minute walk away from the Manor. Le Monet has outstanding qualities for a hotel as well since it has a heated pool, heated toilet, a good air conditioning system, and a mini TV inside the restrooms. The Forest House is the next we're reviewing. In all honesty, the Forest House was a bit underwhelming in the first few minutes that we visited. Its location was situated in a subdivision that took us an hour to find, and we were expecting to be seated in the garden since that was what was shown in their Facebook photos. But upon arrival, we were told that the garden was only for events and the only area open was at the terrace. If you saw the first part of this video, then you'll see that the Forest House is actually a house that converted its ground floor into a restaurant. This is why you need to book in advance so that they can prepare your food beforehand. We also thought that the food proportions were too little, but we were actually proven wrong because by the third course, we were already full. The servings looked really small, but we realized that they were just right since we were eating a 5-course meal. Plus, all the food were good, so we were really happy with our lunch there. So overall, even though we were underwhelmed with the location at first, the actual ambiance and the food was really good that we left the place in good spirits. Lastly, and while this comes as a no-brainer for others, I recommend bringing comfortable clothes, especially if it's your first time and you want to walk around in Baguio. One of the many famous activities in Baguio are horseback riding, zip lining, and even trekking, so bringing some extra clothes for these outdoor activities would be good. And that's it for today. We've discussed the budget of my stay in Baguio City for 4 days, plus talked about the tips, reviews, and recommendations. Do you have any questions about staying in Baguio that you want to know more about? You can comment them down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you can give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more insider tips in the Philippines. Thank you for watching Savvy Expats, and I'll see you again in the next videos.